At a crowded airport gate, a ramp supervisor yanks an older baggage handler and humiliates him in full view of passengers. A gate agent risks her job by halting Pushback and stepping onto the ramp to protect him, leading to a suspension. Quiet, practical care follows, revealing the man's hearing test paperwork and his role as a grandparent, and small changes ripple across the station. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, where are you tuning in from? Leave your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach. The ramp supervisor grabbed the old man's safety vest and yanked him hard. An orange cone flipped, a suitcase slid off the belt and burst, underwear and a bright green dress flapping on the black top like flags. He chased the man under the belly of the plane, shouting into his headset, voice hot and tinny. The man's hearing aids hung on a little clear wire around his neck, swinging. The supervisor jabbed a fluorescent wand into his chest. "You don't ignore me on my ramp." Maya saw it through the glass at gate A12. Her radio was warm in her hand. The pushback tug was lined up straight as a ruler. The captain had already called. Door closed, ready when you are. A family leaned against the window, phones up. A little boy pressed his palms to the glass and mouthed, "Wow." Maya could smell coffee cooling on her podium and the lemon wipe she'd used on the counter. Her heart felt like it had moved up behind her tongue. The supervisor was under pressure. Everyone was. There'd been a 10 a.m. metrics meeting. On time, on time, on time. He'd run a hand over his shaved head and said nothing. Maya had stood in the back with her arms crossed, counting how many times the word delay made people shift in their chairs. If she hit the radio and called a ramp safety hold, she'd own the delay. She already had one write-up this quarter for a late boarding. Another would land her in the manager's office with a paper to sign and a knot in her gut. Her mother needed her insurance for the inhalers. Rent was due on Friday. The old man looked lost without his hearing aid seated. His lips moved. His hands were up, open, not defiant, just trying to see what was being asked. The supervisor crowded him, shoulder against shoulder, like they were the same size. Maya pressed the side button on her ramp radio. A12 to tug, hold, push. Ramp safety, hold. The tug driver looked up at the jet bridge and froze. He set the brake. The little orange light on top blinked a slow pulse. The belt loader stuttered to a stop with a small whine, then went quiet. People at the window murmured. A man in a suit glanced at his watch and shook his head. The captain's voice came in her ear again. "A12, what's the issue?" Maya swallowed. "Ramp safety. Please stand by." She grabbed a spare vest from the hook by the door and a pair of earmuffs that had seen better days. She pushed through the service door and out onto the jet bridge stairs. Warm air hit her face, then jet noise like a giant dryer. She held up a flat hand to the tug driver. He nodded. She stepped down onto the chewed-up yellow paint at the top of the ramp and looked at the supervisor. He turned, eyes narrow, behind wraparound sunglasses perched on his cap. "Get back inside," he called, voice sharp. "This is my ramp." Maya pointed at the plane. "Safety hold." He clicked his headset to channel. "You're going to eat this delay." "Yes," she said. "I am." He took a breath, looked at the family at the glass, the tug, the belt. His face went a slow red. He took a step toward her, then thought better of it, and rocked back on his heels. "Captain wants a reason," the operations duty manager said in her other ear, her voice clipped. "Clock's running, Maya." "Altercation on ramp," Maya said, throat dry. "I'm stopping it." She walked to the old man. Up close, he was wiry with a grey stubble beard and bright eyes. A smear of airline grease marked his forearm. He had a scrape on his elbow where the vest had dragged. His hearing aids swung like little fish on a line. Maya crouched a little to be in his sight. She pointed to the chain. He nodded, hand shaking, and she lifted one aid gently and set it behind his ear. It clicked when it seated. She did the other one, steady fingers in loud air. "You okay?" she said, too loud. He winced, then nodded. A slow smile tugged at one corner of his face, like he was embarrassed to need help. A bra had landed under the tire of the belt loader. Maya tugged it free and tucked it into the burst suitcase, along with the green dress. She zipped the bag and looked for the owner. One of the ramp crew, a woman with a tight bun, took it from her and gave a small nod, eyes flicking between Maya and the supervisor. The supervisor paced near the tug, chewing his thumbnail. He wasn't a cartoon bad guy. He had a laminated schedule on his clipboard with 3 planes stacked on one gate and a staffing line that said short. Sweat darkened the collar of his shirt. He was staring at his future in a write-up too. He clicked his radio. You can't make calls out here. I did, Maya said. So if you have a problem, take it up with me. But you don't put your hands on him. The duty manager's heels clacked on the jet bridge stairs. She didn't come all the way down. She stood at the top, arms folded, and shouted over the wash of the APU. Maya. Inside now, Maya looked at the old man once. He had his hearing aids in. He was breathing steadier. He gave her a small thumbs up like from the military sometimes. Palm out. 1 minute, Maya called to the duty manager. She turned back to the supervisor. Back off him. We all go back to work. He exhaled, long, like air hissing out of a tire. Fine, he said to the air, to the jet, to nothing. He put the wand back into a back pocket. Move the belt, he told the woman with the bun, not looking at Maya. Maya touched the old man's elbow. Light, so he felt her and not just saw. She held up her palm, waited for his nod, then pointed to a spot by the cargo door out of the main path. He stepped there. She pulled a wipe from the pouch on her vest and handed it to him for the scrape. He dabbed at it. The small things, a wipe, a clean zipper, a minute to breathe. She clicked her radio. A12 is clear to push. The tug driver tipped 2 fingers off his cap and set his hand on the brake lever. The orange light blinked faster, then steady. The plane backed away smooth. Maya climbed the stairs to the jet bridge. The duty manager met her at the top. Office after you close out, she said, voice iced. Okay, Maya said. She wasn't going to argue in that moment. She could feel her pulse under her skin, buzzed and light. She finished scanning the last few stragglers for the next flight. The family with the little boy had moved on. In the window, the plane was a small white shape rolling. A ground crew member picked up the last orange cone and set it straight. On break, Maya found the old man at a prep table in the break room, hunched over his lunch. He had the same vest on, now clean at the collar. He had a blue lunchbox with a sticker that said Louise. She hadn't known his name. Hi, she said, sitting across from him with a paper cup of water. Do you need a bandage? He shook his head, then tapped his ear and smiled. Better. Can hear now, he said. His voice was soft and accented with years in it. He slid something across the table, not for sympathy, just because it was there on top of his lunch. A folded letter with a VA logo. Hearing test, Thursday. Another note clipped to it, requesting leave. Denied. Needs coverage. In the lunchbox was a ziplock of tiny brown batteries and a crumpled drawing in crayon. A stick figure man in a yellow vest next to a big airplane. A child had written in shaky letters, Grand Paye, 8 plans. There was a small smiley face next to a time, 30. Maya looked at it and felt something settle in her chest like a coin in a jar. Cute artist, she said. He shrugged with one shoulder. Granddaughter, he said. School at 3. Her mama. He paused. He didn't fill that space. He didn't owe her his story. Do you need me to get you anything from first aid? She asked. He shook his head. He opened his sandwich. It was ham on white bread with a neat line of mustard. The duty manager called. Now, she said. Maya tossed her cup and stood. She tapped the table once, like a friend leaving a coffee shop. See you out there, she said. In the office there were 2 chairs and a printer with a red light on, and a stack of warnings clipped to a board. The duty manager, glasses on a chain, held a form. The supervisor stood against the wall, arms crossed, eyes on his shoes. You caused a delay, the duty manager said. You stepped out without authorization. She slid the paper forward. Suspension for 3 days. No pay. Maya looked at the pen. She thought about her mother's inhalers lined up like little soldiers on the kitchen counter. She thought about the old man's hearing aids clicking into place. Her hand didn't shake when she signed. The supervisor's jaw worked. He didn't meet her eyes, but he said to the floor, I shouldn't have grabbed him. It came out flat. True anyway. Document it, the duty manager said. Both of you. After the office, there was no parade, no slow clap. Maya stuffed her vest into her tote and walked out past gate A12 with its shiny floor and its rubber scuffs and the smell of coffee that never left. The afternoon sun angled in, making the room feel like a fish tank. She changed her schedule to cover early mornings after the suspension. The world didn't end. Her mom's nurse said they'd stretch the inhalers for a week. Rent would be tight. She sold a bike she never rode. On day 4, she came back to the podium and found a small tin of hearing aid batteries next to the stapler. No note. Someone had written A12 on the lid in marker. A strip of blue painter's tape held it closed. An email went out with the subject, Ramp Conduct. No shaming. it said. If you need to correct, take it off the line. There were bullet points. Someone had obviously stayed late to write it. It didn't fix everything. It did one thing. The woman with the bun started setting a cooler of water by the door when the heat index hit a certain number. Not policy, just a thing she did. Two tug drivers began using a new hand signal to each other. 2 fingers to the eyes, then a thumb up. You good? I'm good. Maya started keeping a vest and earmuffs on the jet bridge hook that weren't torn. She stuck a small pack of bandages in the pouch with the lost and found phone chargers and gum. Sometimes nothing happened all day. Sometimes someone used one. The supervisor kept his voice lower. He stood farther back when he corrected. If his face went red, he looked at the ground first and then up. He put the wands in his pocket more often than he pointed them. Maya saw the old man through the glass one morning later, under a pale sky that made everything look cleaned. He looked up and caught her eye. He touched his ear, the little aid in place, and then made the thumb and forefinger circle for OK. She did it back through the glass. He bent to set an orange cone, deliberate like a person folding a napkin right. The plane at A12 rolled in slow, nose glinting. The tug's light blinked its patient blink. Inside, Maya wiped the counter with a lemon wipe and felt the cool of it in her wrist. She thought about the click of the radio when she said, "Hold," how small and loud it had sounded. She thought about how sometimes a line is just a hand held up, 5 fingers wide, the universal sign for stop. Sun hit the edge of the gate sign and made a thin white line. She watched it for a second, then slid a boarding pass back across the counter and smiled. Easy.